Good morning, everyone. We are so excited. We have Sarah Ponder here with us, and she's from the Real Estate Wealth Planning. That's her company name, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about financial planning for real estate agents and what that looks like, what we need to know, and what we're all doing wrong right now, because I'm sure we are. So welcome, Sarah.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you here. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your company and what you do? Because you specifically work with real estate
I do.
agents.
Yes. So I am a financial planner. I'm a fee-only financial planner. So that means that all of my revenue comes from clients. I don't sell any products. Like I don't sell insurance or investments or anything like that. We do work with those things, but I don't sell them and make a commission on them. And
Can
I
you
love
explain why that's important too? Because
absolutely,
there's like a
absolutely.
lot of people that, like they make money by pushing those products, right?
Totally. There are some very large national companies that their solution to everything is life insurance.
Yeah.
And maybe you've sat in one of their offices before. They're absolutely very nice people. They're not trying to hurt you in any way, but they're there's kind of limited in their scope of what they can do. And so, I'll just start off by saying if you are looking for a CFP, a financial planner, look for someone that's fee only. There's tons of us. I am one, obviously, but I'm in two large networks that have thousands. And one of them is xyplanningnetwork.com, and the other is NAPFA, National Association of Personal Financial Advisors. Anybody in those networks is going to have a ton of continuing education and will be fee only. That is a really, really important distinction from fee based. And a lot of the industry, probably something like 80 to 90% of it is fee based, which means commissions, which means that it's probably just hard for you to actually know what you've paid. When you're with someone that's fee only, you'll know exactly what you're paying. Sometimes it nets out, sometimes it's different, but in my mind, it's better to just know what you're paying.
And it's
You
better to
guys,
have that fiduciary responsibility too, because you can trust that you're not being pushed to products where they make more money, right?
correct. Yep, exactly. Yeah, anybody who's fee only, basically the world is our oyster. We can recommend anything to you, and we're not going to get an extra kickback from a company for recommending something. So yeah, that's really, really important. In general, I kind of tell people they're at any of the national brands, national, big financial institutions, there's a lot of great advisors that work there. But if you're looking for really deep, comprehensive planning, go with somebody local that has, 50 to 100 clients, and just kind of keeps a smaller book. You'll just get better attention.
I love that. That's super helpful because you have that closer relationship. They can like really personally help you with your financial planning instead of just a big box one that's like, this is
Mhm.
what you need. Everybody needs the same thing,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So I work only with realtors. I am in Austin, Texas. So most of my clients are here in Texas, but I do work virtually. So I have some folks, in other states as well. Um, but the great thing about working with realtors is great realtors are like great people, as you guys know. And so you guys are really fun clients for me to work with. My husband is a top producing agent here in Austin as well. He's at Compass currently. And that's kind of how I got into it because a couple of years ago, I was working at an investment firm, a really solid investment firm that's meshes with those fee only values that I have. And I was just noticing that most financial advisors are generalists. So they'll kind of just work with anybody who's got a certain amount of money, which is not a bad thing. They're super nice, smart
Right.
people. um, but for folks that are, 1099 and have cash flow lumpiness throughout the year and run their own businesses and have kids and aren't retired yet, there just wasn't a really good financial advisory firm for me to send Ross's friends and colleagues to, my
Right.
husband. So I started one.
That's right. What else is there to do? Just take it over and make it your own.
I was pregnant with my third kid, decided to forego a paid maternity leave, just quit my job for 4 or 5 months pregnant with our third, and Oh, and then the pandemic continued to, continue.
Ambitious. That's right, because I know when we talked last time a few months ago, your littlest one is pretty little.
She's 14 months.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And
Right.
she is,
Born into a pandemic.
yes, I don't know, you have couple.
Yep, 2.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have, my oldest is 4, my middle is almost 3, and my youngest is 14 months. And now we're done. Um, and there's this, I'll find it and send it to you, but there's this little, I don't know, it's a TikTok. I'm like a baby boomer. I'm only 36, so I'm like, is it a TikTok or is it a reel? I don't know. Um, but someone shared a reel with me of this like, handsome fellow, um, showing what it's like to have 3 kids eating ice cream, your first, middle, and your third. I'll share it with you because it's spot
That would be
on.
hilarious.
Like
Yeah.
the first child is like
Yeah, it's way
barely. The
different.
second child, it's like all over, and the third child is just like waiting for you to like hand it to
Yep.
her, and it is spot on when you have 3 kids.
Absolutely. It's like turmoil all the time.
Turmoil.
So before we went live today, Sarah and I were talking a little bit about, the different types of services and stuff. And one of the things that came up was cryptocurrency, which is really big and kind of everywhere right now. And Sarah has lots of opinions on it that
Do.
she
I
would like
do.
to share.
I do, and, last year, I think I was a, sort of a pariah because I was, like, poo-pooing it, and then this year, it's, like, kinda coming true.
It's kind of
Um,
hard to avoid like hearing about it and being torn too.
yeah. So, here's the thing. Cryptocurrency is a currency. And so when you think of currency, we typically think of dollars and euros or British pounds or Japanese yen or whatever. um, and the purpose of currency is to exchange one thing for another thing. So, in my case, in your case, you do a job and you get paid in dollars currency, and then you use those dollars to go buy tacos
Right.
or whatever. I live in Austin, and so tacos is like our, national food. Um, and when you go to the taco store here, it's Taco Deli and Torchy's are 2 big ones. Ideally, you want to know how many tacos you're going to get for the dollars that you have, and you don't want to go in there, bring $10, thinking you're going to get 2 tacos and some chips and queso, and then find out that your $10 actually buys you 12 tacos today, and then tomorrow it only buys you 1 taco.
Yeah.
So you want that consistency. Currency is literally built on trust. Like you are trusting that you do work and you get a fair amount of currency for that work. And then you buy something for a fair amount of currency. So you don't want that fluctuation. So I don't think it's going away.
Yeah.
I absolutely think that cryptocurrency will be with us for the long term. What I don't think though is I don't think it should be an investable asset itself because it's currency. Like it's just the medium in between the objects or the service and the taco.
But people are kind of treating it like stocks right now, right? I mean, they're
Right. Exactly. And so that's where the problem is that, you wouldn't go and just invest in a bunch of euros, right? Or
right,
dollars
right,
because, you expect that currencies tend to be stable unless they're, in like a, some foreign country that, tends to move their currency around because they're government. And so, the value of a cryptocurrency changing, currently it's only changing because people want it to change.
Mhm.
It's not changing because its value itself
Right.
is changing. Does that make sense?
I think so.
So think about like, um, when you've got a whole bunch of people wanting to buy something all at once after a
Right.
hurricane, they need
Yeah. Like
whatever.
supply and demand.
Right. And so you've got a whole bunch of people buying something, the price goes up. That
Mhm.
doesn't mean that it inherently is
Worth more.
itself worth more in the long run, right? It means it's worth more right now because lots of people want to buy it and not many people have it to sell.
Right.
But, if you're going to use that currency, you kind of want to know how many tacos you can buy
Right.
with it.
You're going to use it as a form of payment.
Right. Right. And we need to be able to trust that the form of payment will get me the thing that I want to buy at the amount that I expect to buy.
So you think that, or you advise your clients and stuff to not use cryptocurrency as an investment,
Right.
but
Right.
to participate.
Right. So I don't consider it to be an investment
Mm-hmm.
because here's what I think an investment is. An investment is something that creates additional economic value.
Mm-hmm.
So when you buy a dilapidated rental property and you put sweat equity into it, or you put actual equity into it, and then maybe you rent it out for a higher rent, or turn it into a cool Airbnb, or you just, flip it.
Right.
You have created economic value because you increased the value of that
Mhm.
investment. You made it more
Right.
valuable. A company is the same way. So a stock becomes more valuable because the people at the company are creating services or
Mhm.
creating products that
Mhm.
people want to buy. It's
That
just
makes
capitalism.
right.
And so when you put money into something as an investment, you are expecting that the people who are using that investment are going to create additional wealth by
Yeah,
their actions providing goods and services.
that makes way more sense.
Yeah, so cryptocurrency is not itself an asset because you're not increasing
Right.
the economic value of the
It's just
thing.
another form of payment
Right.
supposed to be.
Right. That make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That is definitely explains things a lot more, I think, because I think people were looking at it more as an investment type of thing and another way, to increase their funds, which technically it's not, but it's supposed to be
Yeah.
another way to use funds.
Yeah. And I'll say this, like any type of investment, and when I kind of use those air quotes, I mean you're putting into something and you hope it grows.
Yeah.
Things in the short term, fluctuate a ton.
Yes.
And so I'm not saying that it's not going to grow in value, but it's not growing in value because it's inherently creating more
Right.
economic value. It's just growing in value because somebody else wants to buy it. Right.
Yeah. So, let's talk about because we talked a little, you mentioned a little bit about, real estate investment properties and Airbnbs and all that stuff. Now, you believe that, real estate agents, like everybody else, should be diversifying their funds.
Mhm.
But tend to see a little bit of a trend when it comes to real estate agents that they kind of focus a little bit more on scooping up homes and real estate and stuff, and probably not diversifying as much as they should.
Yeah, absolutely. So I own rental real estate. Most of my clients own rental real estate. Typically, my clients own one or two or three.
Mhm.
Like it's not a huge number. Um, and the perspective that I want to share is that it is absolutely can be for the right person a great investment. And because it does have some tax benefits, but those tax benefits are not, infinite. They do usually when you sell the property, they usually come to bear and you kind of you
Yes.
lose a little bit of that. Um, and the big difference between a, kind of traditional diversified stock and bond portfolio and real estate is the amount of uh, mental investment and
Mhm.
transaction cost that you have to get, or that you have to put in to
Yeah.
get the return. When you put money into a savings account or a, IRA or something like that, literally all you do is just buy it. And then if you want the money, you just sell it.
Right.
Maybe it costs you $10, usually it doesn't cost you anything to, make that transaction. And so you have all that liquidity. And, in my experience with clients, liquidity is your best friend
Yeah.
because, I spent most of my 20s and early 30s, luckily it was before I had kids, saving and mostly just in, traditional retirement portfolios.
Right.
And that's what really allowed me to feel comfortable starting a business in the middle of the pandemic. And, I'm just one anecdote, but there's lots of people like that.
Well, I think too, during the pandemic and stuff, that really showed that having the liquid type funds and stuff like that. I mean, we were really lucky because in a lot of places, real estate and stuff kind of took off. But the
Mhm.
importance of having access to cash, some places people lost their jobs, they weren't able to work, and they had no other way to have funds. So to have
Totally,
access, I mean,
totally.
you never know what's going to happen now. I
You
mean,
don't. You don't. And, I am a sort of efficient markets person. And what that means is, so like in the real estate market, if you do a private sale off MLS, I think most people would say that often one side or the other gets more benefit,
mhm,
either the buyer or the seller, kind of depending on the circumstances. Maybe the seller needs to sell it really fast. And so
right.
they're kind of leaving some money on the table because it's a private sale, or the other way around. When something's on the MLS, usually the price that gets settled on is, a fair price for both people. And because of that, and I think that's because it's posted publicly, there's tons of eyeballs on it. People are coming, the real estate market is coming together and saying, "Hey, this is the right price for that house." Right?
Yep.
So, stocks and bonds are typically the exact same. I mean, there are obviously tons of them and the price moves around constantly every day, but not usually a lot every day. And there's millions of people participating as buyers and sellers in those markets. And so when you've got public prices for investable assets, whether it's a house on the MLS or a stock or a bond on, the stock exchange, you can feel pretty certain that at the date of closing, at the date of purchase or sale, you've got a kind of fair price. You've got what people are willing to pay or buy. And so, because of that, both are important in your portfolio. And, real estate has that position in your portfolio of potentially going up in value, but as do, stocks and bonds, but typically stocks. And usually they actually work together. So we kind of talked about this a little bit before the show. As you guys, likely know, you're in lots of different markets. The house that you live in or that your tenants live in, the value of that house is usually pretty directly correlated to the economy
Yep.
around it,
Mhm.
right? Because the value of the house is based on the people who live in it
Mhm.
and how much money they make and how they're contributing to the economy, right? And
Yep.
so those two things work together. And, they may not go up and down at exactly the same points, but over the long run, they have kind of tended to sort of even out.
Yeah.
Does that
Def
help?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, um, just letting real estate agents like everybody else too is, just not putting all their money into one thing.
Mhm.
And then that makes it easier. Like if one thing is doing bad, sometimes the other stuff is doing good. So it can kind of balance out and you're not
Yeah,
stressed in one area, right?
right, right, exactly. I mean, the thing that is great about real estate is you can touch it, you know, and
Yeah.
honestly, it's really fun. Like I'm currently in the process of putting up a medium-term rental, which is
Oh,
a ton of work. I mean, it takes a lot of time to furnish something, to even with a designer and with a contractor. Like it still is a lot of money
yep.
and a lot of time.
A lot of sweat
Whereas
equity, a lot of
right, whereas, like, all my stuff that's just sitting in the market, I'm not doing a thing. Like, it's just doing its thing, and then when I need it in 10, 15, 20 years, it'll be there, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a different spectrum for each type of, investments. And Sarah also, she sent us, some freebies and some educational pieces as well that we're going to share in the group later. But one of the big things that I want to talk about is that she also teaches some really cool online Zoom classes for the Austin Board of Realtors. And she actually sent us a link for her very last free masterclass. And then it's going to be a price to pay from the future moving forward after that, starting August.
Yeah. It'll be probably August or September when the
Okay. So we have the link that y'all can join and sign up and register for it if you want to. It is through the real estate board, but Sarah's the one that controls it and everything. So don't think you have to be a part of it. She sent it for y'all to check out and look at. So don't be nervous about that. And do you want to go over that masterclass a little bit? Okay.
Yeah. So it's called Retirement and Tax Strategies for Realtors. Super exciting title. It's about 75 minutes. It's from noon until 1:15 Central Time on July 11th, which is a Monday. And really what I cover in it is a few different key things. The first is how much do you actually need to save for retirement? And, I have like a little calculator that's pretty complex, and I kind of walk folks through, because usually you need to save probably more than you expect.
Probably more
Especially,
than anybody's already doing too, right?
yeah. On the other hand, as part of the calculator, we talk about different lifestyle assumptions,
Mhm.
and the like thing that I beat into my clients' heads, and they sometimes love and sometimes hate, is your success financially is dependent on your spending and your
Yeah.
saving.
And if you want to have the same lifestyle you have right now, when
Yeah,
you
I have clients that make between the two of them $1 million,
Mhm.
or pretty close to it, 900 something. And then I have clients that between the two of them make 300, 400. It is amazing to me. Now, granted, when you make the 900, you pay a lot more in taxes. Your
Yeah.
tax bill is something in the two to $300,000 range. So that kind of brings it down a little bit, a lot. But congratulations for making all that money.
Let's make more of it.
But there's this thing called lifestyle creep,
Mhm.
which is, the more you make, the more you spend.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, those two, my average client's kind of in the three to $400,000 a year range is their income. And those clients, even though they have kids and they've got a lot going on, they save more
Mhm.
than the $900,000 client does, because they spend less.
Yeah.
And so, when you get kind of closer to retirement, if you can kind of reevaluate what really makes you happy,
Mhm.
what actually makes you happy may not be the most expensive car or vacation or house or whatever. It's usually the people that you spend
Mhm.
time with and the relationships in your life. So we talk about that um, the webcast. We also just talk about, like, what's a solo 401k, what's a SEP IRA, some tax considerations for each one, because often people are told to set up a SEP IRA, and it's a good enough solution for some people, but once you get into that higher income bracket, there can be some tax issues that are not super obvious. So we talk about those. And then, yeah, we just talk a little bit about like how your tax return actually works, which most people don't want to know, but really need to know.
And most of us still haven't filed our taxes this year
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah. We were talking about that right before. It's for business owners, it's super common.
Sarah said it was okay, everyone. Don't freak out.
Okay. Now, the only business owners I see consistently filing on time have a bookkeeper. So if you don't have a bookkeeper, then you're not going to file on
I
time.
do have a CPA. I do not have a bookkeeper, so it's still my job to get him all of the things. So that's
Mhm.
where,
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I just got my own bookkeeper last month, and I am so excited. I've been
Yeah.
on a wait list. There's a financial planning bookkeeper, and I've been on the wait list for like a year. And
Wow.
it's,
That's gotta feel like a weight lifted off, huh?
yes, I mean, it usually, on average, it costs something like $200 a month, and I think it's really money that is very well
Worth
spent.
it.
Um, Especially if you're a high production agent, you have better things to do. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Facts.
yeah.
So you also offer a consultation before
I do.
you commit, right?
Yeah. So my process is probably somewhat different from most financial advisors, and that's again because of who I work with and what I have just found works best for me and for the client. A lot of people think they're ready for a financial advisor, but if you are not like really ready,
Yeah.
just wait until you're actually ready.
And what do you mean by being really ready? Like ready to pay for it or ready
Like
to
like
listen?
ready, yeah, ready to like save a freaking crap ton of
Yeah.
money.
And stop spending it all.
Yeah, like ready to like have somebody look at your cash flow,
Yeah.
ready to spend a few hours looking for documents. And some people you just haven't hit that like pain threshold yet where you feel like you have to do that. Other people, you come across a life event like a kid getting ready for college. That's a
Yeah.
really expensive endeavor that really can help if you have a financial advisor. Um, so my process is three pieces. The first piece is just a free consultation. You can schedule that on my website, realestatewealthplanning.com. But here's the thing you need to know is when you schedule that, you'll get a intake form. It'll probably take you 20 minutes to fill out, depending on your record keeping. If you have really bad record keeping, it could be 40 minutes. And I ask for your most recent tax return as part of that intake before I ever talk to you. And if it's just 2020, that's fine. Since again, not everybody is filed. 2021 is obviously better, but just 2020 or 2021 is fine. And the reason I ask for that is because there is so much information on that tax return that you probably just couldn't find, or it's just so much faster for you
Yeah.
to just give me that document and let me interpret it, and I can learn a ton about you from that. If you have investment accounts, ideally, optionally, you include those statements also, because in those investment accounts, I'll be able to see kind of like what your savings trajectory is looking like, kind of are your investments actually diversified, how much your investments cost you, those kinds of things.
Mm.
And that's all stuff that you're just not going to know the answer to, but that I can look at and easily be able to tell you if it's worth having a financial advisor. Maybe you just need like a few tips.
Yeah.
Maybe you actually need a whole overhaul. So we do that. So you do that homework. We meet for about 30 minutes for free. After that, if you want to move forward, we do what's called a discovery meeting, and that is 90 minutes. And I ask that it's at least probably 2 weeks between our first meeting and our second meeting, because you'll get more homework.
Yeah.
You'll
Yeah.
get You'll get a budget questionnaire, a real estate questionnaire. Will ask you to put in, values and costs for all of your real estate if you have any, um,
Mhm.
some income and assets and that kind of thing. So you spend a couple hours doing some data entry before that meeting. And again, that's because, garbage in, garbage out, right? Like you can't get good information without good
That's true.
data. And I found I used to do it where this process was much slower and I would have you enter data by like our third or fourth meeting. And I just honestly found that I couldn't give people the answers that they were looking for
Yeah.
if you didn't invest that time in getting me the information that I
If you
needed.
couldn't see the big picture up front, yes.
Yeah. People would be like, oh, like, should I get an S Corp? And I'd be like, I don't know. I need to see the number to give you an answer. So you put in a couple hours of time before
Mhm.
our meeting. Then I put in a couple hours of time before our meeting, and I prepare like a 1 to 2 page summary of what I see. And then in our meeting, I go over that summary, and depending on what you need, we do some education. We talk about, what your kind of next steps should be. That meeting costs $750, and you'll leave it. Everybody leaves it with more than $750 of value, whether that's change your investment to make this thing more efficient, or do this tax thing, or whatever, do this budget thing. After that meeting, you can decide, if I'm right for you, then we can onboard. If I'm not right for you, That's cool. Go to XY Planning Network. Go find somebody else. There's like 1,500 people. They're great. Or if you're just at the point where you actually can just do it yourself, then you've got kind of a basic plan to do it yourself. So
And if
that's
somebody onboards with you, what does that look like moving forward?
yeah. So my minimum fee is $7,500 a year. On average, most clients are about $8,000 to $10,000 a year, and that is based on their net worth and complexity of what you've got going on. And that's a flat fee. So I don't charge for investment management separately. And everybody kind of has something different going on, even though you're all realtors. I do a lot of business coaching, a lot of, hey, if you're going to hire somebody, this is what you need to think about. Maybe this is how you should compensate them, kind of how that, and that tends to save people a ton of money. So yeah, I do investments. We do tax planning, which means looking at all your taxes and then suggesting strategies to implement with your CPA. We do estate planning together with an estate planning attorney, but then I kind of prepare you for that. And you won't see that money now, but you'll see it. Your kids will see it when you die. So we do kind of everything together: cash flow planning, cash management, setting up your business accounts and your personal accounts, kind of all sorts of stuff.
And this is all tax deductible too, right?
That's a great question. I always tell people to ask their CPA, because the CPA is the one that has to sign the tax return.
Yes.
I commonly see them do half, maybe
Financial
more.
planning, tax prep, yeah.
Yeah, because it used to be totally tax deductible.
Mhm.
If you're a business owner, it's kind of just what your CPA is
Yeah.
willing to do. So it's a gray area,
And
unfortunately.
how they work it out.
Yeah, I mean, that said, like, we spend a very large amount of time together
Mhm.
on business prep, business strategy, all that kind of stuff. Onboarding is about a year. So we meet eight to 10 times over the course of a year. We do life planning, which means we figure out what actually makes you happy and how you want to spend your time now and in the future. That can be, I have a lot of people who end up quitting their jobs or their husband or their spouse does, or they just kind of reconfigure how they earn income
Yeah.
because of that process. A lot of folks end up selling something so they can spend more time doing something else, so that process is very individualized. And then we go through all of the topics, the tax and estate and retirement, cash and business and blah 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 blah.
Amazing. And everybody should have a financial planner.
Absolutely. Again, I'll put the links to to me, or I'll send them to you, Jess.
Yeah, we have some of them, and I know you have more and stuff, and you're welcome to post them in there as well. Well, I appreciate you so much. I know that everybody will be watching this later and probably have a million more questions, but we have all the links. Sign up for that free masterclass that Sarah's got coming up soon. And she also has a course that she's launching in August that will be a paid course, but she's already committed to sending us the links and stuff once that goes live.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm working with someone right now to get it up on the website, but it will be the first cohort will be a max of 30 people. And it's basically going to be probably a 3 to 4 hour masterclass. And it will cover, budgeting, lumpy cash flow, retirement and tax, investments, all of that stuff for realtors. And then there will be some, small group Q&A time also. So yeah, you'll have access to that. The pricing is going to be kind of in the $400 to $800 range, depending on, when you sign up and, all of that kind of stuff. Tons of deliverables. It's going to be really, really useful.
Lots of homework too, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I used to be a middle school teacher.
Sarah loves homework, I can tell.
Yeah, I was a teacher.
Well, you know what? Doing the homework or the assignments and all that stuff really gets people involved to participate and, help contribute to their.
Yeah, if you don't, this, you get out of it what you put into it. I have clients
Exactly.
that put a ton into it and they get tons out of it, and the other way around.
Exactly, 100%. And that will definitely get people more involved and participate, because we all get really sidetracked for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. We appreciate you so much, Sarah, for stopping in
Thank you.
today. We're going to share those links today, and then we'll talk to Sarah again soon, probably once after her course launches. Maybe we can bring her back on and she can talk about the course, and she'll share all those links and stuff with us.
Yep. Yeah. So July 11th, if you're around, that's the free one. So it's
The last free one,
the
too.
last free one. Yeah. And then it'll be paid probably every 6 to 8 weeks. A new cohort will come in.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Sarah, for joining us, and I'm
You're
sure we'll
welcome.
talk again soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, everyone. See you next week.